it's quite hard to be a content creator whose topics are general because they don't know where you can fit, well, at least in terms of branding. So get to know yourself, get to know your niche, and lots of research.
River on, stay aware, stay ahead, stay on. News flows, AI scanning, markets breathe, blockchains running, 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 running.
This is your Variant Studios. My name is Urian Buenconsejo, or otherwise known as Yuri B, your Web3 wanderer, blockchain explorer, and of course, AI enthusiast. And today we have somebody who has been on the ground of one of the latest events in the Philippines, which is the YGG Play Summit. We have Denica. So before I introduce her, of course, a quick disclaimer for our audience. This is not financial advice. We're not trying to shill anything here. We're just having an educational conversation, especially how the event went and maybe thoughts on the market, thoughts on education, thoughts on AI, and even more. So, Denica, thank you so much for your time.
Yes, of course. Thank you as well, Uri, for having me here. I'm very excited.
Yeah, definitely. So we like to start our interviews with something a little bit more nostalgic. So this
Wow.
is something we usually ask our guests when we start. How, what did your parents teach you about money as a kid, and how did that transition as you grew older? Were there things that you had to unlearn, or things that you learned and stayed with you as you grew in your career?
Yeah, so oh my gosh, there's like a story that I always tell my friends. So when I was younger, I had this mindset to save up for things that I wanted to get. And that allowed me to have or be more, I'd say, financially responsible in acquiring things that I wanted along the way as I grew up. But yeah, when I was younger, I didn't have that much of a big allowance, so I really had to put in hard work. And what my parents and I had an agreement when I was younger is when I make it to the top 10 in my class or in my batch, they would give me that the thing that I wanted. So long story short, I didn't save up much, and ended up just getting me what I wanted because I always make it to the top 10 for some reason because that was my motivation. So I had that mindset growing up, like I really need to put in hard work for me to get the things that I wanted. So that's a really great question. It really made me circle back to how I grew up.
Yeah, of course. And that's a really interesting story as well. I think the next logical step would, of course, be to tie that story to who you are right now, what you're doing, how are you working. So could you tell us the journey between then, when you were always top 10 and like really studying and then getting those rewards from your parents, to finally maybe discovering crypto, blockchain, Web3, and now what you're doing at YGG?
Of course. And yeah, just a disclaimer, I didn't mean to brag that I'm always part of the top 10. I just wanted to mention that because I had motivation in doing so. So that's actually what I carry with me. During my college days, I that was during the pandemic, and we had a lot of time to maybe like work on ourselves. So during that period, I took the initiative to take on voluntary internships because I wanted to earn a little bit just for me to, have my own budget for the things that I wanted to get. And during that time in my life, I discovered this fintech company. And fun fact, that's the few people that I work with now. So it's really a small world, and you can see how the grit that you have, the things that you wanted to achieve, as long as you put hard work behind it, you'll get there. So that's actually one of the reasons why I'm here now, because that fintech company was I was working with the husband of my boss during that time, and now that after that, basically, I worked with his wife, and his wife happens to be the co-lead of Metaversity. And prior to that, I was working with her for an AI trading company. That's the 10XU. It got acquired by YGG Pilipinas. And that's the reason why I'm here now. And I'm always grateful about that journey of mine.
So thanks for that disclaimer and of course tying this story together. And I think right now, could you talk a little bit more about what you do, your position, what are maybe some tasks that fill up your day, and of course the company that you're working with right now, or the project or the blockchain that you're working with right now.
Yes. So, hello guys, for those who are watching. By the way, my name is Denica. Some people might know me as Denny. I do marketing for YGG Pilipinas. So, in particular, I'm the marketing manager for Metaversity. So, during the early stages of my stay in YGG Pilipinas, I was mainly handling Metaversity. So, for those who don't know what Metaversity is, it is the educational arm of YGG Pilipinas, and we offer crash courses, the short form educational videos wherein you get to learn marketing, leadership and management, and productivity. So that was my main task for YGG Pilipinas. But along the way, I also got to touch base with different campaigns of YGG Pilipinas. Let's say, for instance, Spectre Agency, Vybz, Ragnarok Leader. So I got to handle those campaigns. And mainly, I do social media marketing. Sometimes I even do email marketing and hosting on the side as well. So yeah, it is a really fun job for me.
Before talking more about YGG and Metaversity, can you share with us maybe what a marketing campaign looks like? Because it's something that gets thrown around a lot, but I
Mhm.
don't think a lot of people understand the intricacies that get involved when you actually launch a marketing campaign. So, if you could you maybe give us an idea of what it looks like from start to finish?
Yeah. So I think like a strong rooted marketing campaign would be to actually get to know, aside from the what the client wants, is what your consumer would want. So the strength behind that is we have a really strong community base in YGG Pilipinas. So we took their insights and ensure that those are taken into consideration when it comes to creating marketing campaign. So let's say, for instance, they would want to see more tutorials about how this game works. Let's say, for instance, they would want to see shows or feature YGG esports guys for them to actually appreciate what the game would be about. So those kinds of insights, we have it incorporated within our plans. So our plans basically, we have different sets of channels. So those channels would be social media, perhaps even email or community marketing. So we have like different segments on how and where we're going to communicate those messages with the overall goal of course, promoting the said games. So those like are the highlights of it. Yeah.
Thanks so much for sharing about that. And that makes a lot of sense because, like, at the end of the day, a successful marketing campaign has to cater to what the audience wants, or has to
Exactly.
cater to what the consumer wants. So it's really good that you mentioned that YGG has a very, very strong community. Now, can we talk a little bit more about YGG in general before we dive into the event? So could you talk us about the community itself, what YGG is about, and why the community is quite strong and has remained quite strong, and maybe the evolution from the GameFi to now education and other things you're doing as well.
Yes. So I think the strength lies behind how we promote these games. So aside from it just being like a fun way for you to, you know, make use of your time, we now kind of angle it towards like opportunities. Because let's say, for instance, in Metaversity, which is the learning arm of YGG Pilipinas, we have different programs that make use of the gaming strengths of these individuals. So we provide workshops, even opportunities for them. Like we connect them to different companies that are looking for gaming experts to test their games. And yeah, those are basically what we provide. We provide value to these people. So that really is like the strength behind as to why we have like a strong community base, and of course the camaraderie between everyone. I think YGG Pilipinas has been long standing even the pre-pandemic. So kind of everyone knows everyone. And I'm actually very grateful that we continuously grow our community because of the efforts of our community team. Basically, they also market what the opportunities that these community members can have. So it really um, talks about more on opportunities and learning.
Finally, for the moment we've all been waiting for, can you tell us more about the event that went down? What was it about? Maybe some of your favorite highlights,
Of course.
and of course, how it was in general.
Yep. So the event that Uri guys was talking about is of course the YGG Play Summit. So that happened on November 19 to 22. So it was a 3 day event where we get to offer different games, different learning opportunities, and even digital big career opportunities for gamers, builders, learners, and everyone basically who's interested in Web3, AI, and tech. So I would think what's unique about this year's summit is the theme is the city of play. So we really dressed BGC or Bonifacio Global City to be a district or a city wherein there are four different districts. So those four different districts are the arena. So the arena, you can see here different tournaments, different games featuring the YGG esports guys who are battling for different tournaments basically. Then the star of, in my opinion, the star of the City of Play or the YGG Play Summit this year is the Skill District. So this features Metaversity. They offer workshops, panel discussions, and different opportunities like vibe coding for students who want to excel more in any fields of interest that they may have. So we have like content creation, we even have AI and marketing. Then we also have what else that I mentioned the arena, skill district. We also have the player district. So this one is an area wherein there are different sponsors who are promoting their games. So let's say for instance we have Spectre Agency, there was Sky Mavis who made the Axie. I'm sure you guys are familiar of what Axie is. And then lastly, we have the arena. Let me recall my thoughts. The arena skill district. Yeah. Before I forget, we have the Degen district. So this one is like the newest district wherein we can see here the creators, both YGG Global and Pilipinas to create content together and even have fun because we have like a lounge there. They can even get like IV drips and just collaborate because that's what we aim to have. Yeah, for the next coming year, like to be more big when it comes to content creators.
That's really interesting, especially the IV drip. Like, I think that's something I would do just out of fun and
I
curiosity, like what's
know.
going on here. But yeah, so you mentioned at the end of at the end that your focus would be towards content creators as well. And I think I would love to get your thoughts on how to become an effective KOL and an effective marketer. And with regards to the content creator path, like what are some steps people can take and some steps people can, or some things people can do to be successful in that career path?
Okay. So, in my opinion, would be first is to know your niche. Ask yourself who do you want to cater to. So, for the content creators that we work with here in YGG Pilipinas, of course, we focus on those who are into Web3 or are into gaming because that's the kind of, I would say, key opinion leaders you would want to talk to our audiences. So once you find your niche, I think that you'll have a great opportunity to be partnering or working with companies that are looking for you because once you get to have that, you have like a certain branding and it's quite hard to be a content creator whose topics are general because they don't know where you can fit well, at least in terms of branding. So get to know yourself, get to know your niche, and lots of research. Yes, lots of research because content creators nowadays, they're one of the, I would say, key source of information, especially for the young ones. So you would want to make sure that the information that you put out there, specifically that your content is public, right? That it's of facts. Yes, it's factual.
Thank you so much for that. I think like I want to go back to something a little bit more personal, which is what are your career goals for next year? I know you've handled like a lot of the marketing campaigns in terms of YGG and the Metaversity. I think that's how we met when you had the Metaversity Filipino worker event here in Davao City. So we were able to have a brief conversation there. Next year, what does it look like for you specifically before we talk about YGG and Metaversity?
Yeah, so for me, I would want to grow more as a marketer. I believe that every day is always a new opportunity to learn. Of course, I would want to keep learning because I don't know everything as of the moment. I am growing as I live my life. And yeah, I just want to become better at what I do, particularly still in the marketing field.
Okay, our next question is about YGG's plans and also Metaversity's plans. And can you explain the two, how they work together and how they're also different at the same time?
Yep. Okay. So YGG Pilipinas is basically like the biggest gaming or the biggest guild of guilds. We have like different groups or like sets of companies that work alongside together to, of course, provide opportunities to those who would want to grow in the field of Web3, AI, gaming, and other tech. So think Metaversity as like the learning arm of YGG Pilipinas. So they're more focused when it comes to educating people. So let's say, for instance, like about marketing, about leadership and management, and even productivity. So to teach those skill trees that we call, we offer, well, Metaversity offers the crash courses, which I mentioned earlier, which is the short form educational videos. And then after the completion of those crash courses, the students go over the Marshall program. So this is like a specialized training experience, and it happens around like 8 weeks for them to choose a particular track. So those tracks are gaming experts, marketing, content creation, and moderation. So upon so once they complete the Marshall program, they get to graduate. And since that they have the skill sets ready to be part of YGG Pilipinas, that's then when we offer certain opportunities to them. So you can really see the progression from crash courses to the Marshall program and finally being part of YGG Pilipinas.
Thanks so much. That was for the Metaversity, right? I understand that
Mhm.
YGG is also it has a lot of campaigns on
Correct.
on its own with different projects. And could you explain a little bit more about YGG?
Yep. So for YGG, basically what it does is to promote the different games because they have different sponsors and those sponsors would want to grow more, maybe like in terms of the Philippine market. Let's say, for instance, Spectre Agency. So that's one of the campaigns that I've handled. So we do some, I'd say, activations for them. So aside from social media, we also do like community shows, then even outreach for them, of course, to grow like as a game. And I'm really happy to say that Spectre Agency did really well here. Yeah. So basically, that's what we do. We exercise the different activations for these games to grow locally.
That sounds exciting. Okay, the next question is maybe, well, since you're there and you get to experience a lot of the games, could you share maybe some of your favorites, just so that like the audience knows what type of games are out there under YGG and they can check them out?
Yep. Okay. So I think one of my favorites would be, well, I can mention two. First would be Spectre Agency because it's really accessible. You can just play the game on Telegram, and whenever you feel like maybe spending time like unwind, right? Spending time up for yourself. You can just like quickly hop on Telegram and just kill the bosses because that's the main goal. And the next one would be Vibes. So Vibes TCG is from the word itself, TCG is a trading card game. So because the IP is very cute, they make use of fudgy penguins. At first, I was like really attracted to how it looks. And yeah, we had like a monthly event for them around like local game stores here in the Philippines and even outside Metro Manila. So that was very interesting because we got to grow the community of Vybz players here. So while I'm not like the best at it, I just like the fact that I get to see the cards and how people are very dedicated. Because even if, yeah, like we hold events outside Metro Manila, those people even go, like the same people have been like frequently going. So it was very interesting to see.
Our final question is more about your thoughts on the market or maybe GameFi, especially since YGG is very, very focused on GameFi. What do you think about the future of GameFi in 2026?
So I would just want to mention that stay tuned because YGG will definitely grow more into publishing games. So I think like that's one of like the biggest news. And yeah, I'm very excited to see how Web3 games in general will be more accepted by the public because I think not everyone is that educated yet when it comes to these games. So I'm I'm just looking forward to how YGG Pilipinas will be at the forefront of that space. That's all I can say for now.
Denica, thank you so much for your time.
Of course, thank you, Uri.